what's up? This is Stephanie Fleitas here with creatingwithin.com, your place to get in touch with your inner world. And I'm coming to you live today from Dubrovnik. I have been here for about 4 nights already, but I've been in this country for almost a month now. And I truly love this country. I have fallen in love with it, which is why I've visited 4 cities thus far here. But Dubrovnik is a very cool place to be. Actually, I recently got to explore the gardens where Game of Thrones is filmed, and I was at the King's Landing. So it was pretty cool. It was a really cool experience just because it's just breathtakingly beautiful. Not just because it's Game of Thrones is filmed there, but just the scenery itself. I understand why they film a lot of the show here in this country, because there's just so many places wherever you look that is just beautiful. You don't really have to do much to it. But anyways, I wanted to take this opportunity to talk to you guys about what it means to really go after your desires and your dreams. And I know it's kind of sometimes a lofty idea, because everybody's like, follow your dreams, pursue your passion. And a lot of us hear that and we find it very beautiful, but how many of us really, truly go after what we really desire? Not many of us, because we always have fears that hold us back. A lot of times we, are afraid that we really can't have what we want. We're afraid of failure if we do go after it. We're afraid of the unknown, of what will happen, of not knowing how things will unfold. And a lot of times we think that we can't make a living or have that security that we've been sold through doing the things that we want to do. But I'm here to tell you that despite all these fears that you may have, I want to encourage you to really, really listen to your heart and to really pursue your desires of what it is that you want to do. Even if you don't know how things are going to unfold, even if you don't know how things are going to happen, I promise you life is really not that scary, and the universe really has your back. As long as you have the courage and the determination to go into the direction of your desires, the universe will support you. And you don't have to have the big picture. And I think that what happens with most of us when we start thinking about our desires and really going after it, especially for some of us who may be more planners and more of the logical type minded, where we need to have everything laid out. Okay, we need to do step A, B, and C before we can get to D. And so when you operate like that, I know it can be a little confusing and you may be a little more hesitant to believe, oh, let me just go out here and explore and allow the universe to bring things to me. I know that is a very scary kind of way to think and to do things, but sometimes you need it, because you are both a logical and an emotional creature. You are a spiritual being having a temporary human experience, and I promise you that when you follow your desires and you're true to your heart's calling, things will unfold. Because each of us, I believe, we all have a purpose. You have a purpose, I have a purpose, and you're only going to find out what that purpose is and what your mission on earth here is through following your desires. Those things that you want to do, those impulses, those little things, from the smallest things to the big things, that is your roadmap, your indicator that if you follow it, will lead you in the direction that will unfold, is the word I'm looking for, will unfold what your purpose is, what you came here to do, what you came here to give and contribute to the world and to yourself. The way you're going to figure that out is you have to follow your desires. And I'm here to tell you guys, for some of you who have seen me through this journey, the fact that I just started backpacking and it was a desire that I had, and now I'm living it. I'm doing this thing that I wanted to do that was so unknown before. And I can tell you from experience, using this particular moment in my life that you guys are a part of, that things just start working out when you really listen to your heart's call. I had this desire, something inside of me was telling me I needed to do this, I needed to travel. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, sometimes it's scary not knowing how things are gonna unfold, and not knowing, well, how am I gonna make this happen, and how am I gonna get the money for this, and I'm gonna leave the security and my comfort. What happens if nothing works out, or I travel, but then what if nothing comes out of it? Then I have to start all over again. All these things, we can find a million stories and a million excuses to keep us in the same place. But you have to really stop and think for a moment. Do you want to live somebody else's life? Do you want to live a life that's based on the illusion of security, because let's be real, there's no security in life. There's no guarantees. No matter if you have the most lofty and cushiony job in the world right now, that job is dependent on somebody else. And the day that they no longer need you, you're out of a job. Same thing with your house. You can have a house right now and Mother Nature can decide to take it all away, which is something that happened recently here in Serbia and Bosnia, neighboring countries that just had these crazy floods, and so many people lost everything that they've worked their entire life for. So there is no guarantees in life. There is nothing that you're going to take with you, nothing material, no jobs. The only thing that you have is who you're going to become, the memories that you're going to make, and how you're going to evolve as a person, and how much are you going to push yourself to really find out what you're made of. That's really what it's all about. Everything else is just the perks, and you can't get attached to those things. So if you're going to base your life on security, you're really cheating yourself out of having the ultimate experience, whatever that may be for you, because each of us have our own path. But I want to share with you guys some things that have happened to me on my trip. So this video is probably going to go over a little bit, but I want to take this moment just to give you some examples, some real life experiences that have happened to me, to show you guys how things just really naturally unfold when we move in the direction of our desires. So I'm going to start by sharing with you guys when I finally made the decision that I was like, okay, I don't care what, I am going to do this trip, because I am no longer going to continue to work for other people's dreams, because sometimes people don't even appreciate the things that you do, and if anything, I'd rather work towards my purpose and my dream. And even if I fail, I'd rather fail at something knowing that I gave it my all versus giving it to somebody else's dreams. So that was a thought that really solidified that this is what I'm going to do. But when I made the decision that I was going to go backpacking, I'm going to be honest, I had originally planned that I was going to leave in May. I'm like, okay, I'll sell everything, I'll sell my car, and then in May I'll maybe start off in London, because I had a cousin who can maybe get me somewhat of a cheap ticket to London. So that was kind of the idea. And then I find out, when I did the workshop for Teal in February, I found out that she was going to be in Prague in April. And for some reason, when I found that out, just something inside of me told me that I needed to start my trip in Prague. And I remember sharing this with my best friend, and I was like, you know, I really want to start in Prague, but this was already February, and that would mean that I would need to leave at the beginning of April. I hadn't even sold my car, left my apartment, sold anything, found anybody to take care of my dog, and I remember sharing this with my best friend, and she was like, Stephanie, you know, you have to leave in April. Like, you're leaving in April. I don't care what, but you're gonna go. And I'm like, Susie, I don't have the money. I don't even have the money for the ticket. Like, how am I gonna be able to get a ticket in about a month to leave, and I don't have anything figured out? And then I remember something that I used to tell myself all the time, which is that when you really want something, the universe conspires to make it happen. And I've believed this since I was very little, and every time I put my mind on something and I really believe it, I will it into my existence. And sometimes you forget these things, even I do. And I had to remind myself. I was like, you know what, Stephanie, this is what I want, and why can't I have what I want? I know the universe supports me, and I know this is a desire that is coming from inside of me. So it's part of my path. So there is no way that the universe is not going to support something that is innately within me, that I'm meant to birth to life. So I changed my mindset in that instant. And the craziest thing is, I'm driving home and I'm still talking to my best friend, and we're like, you know, you're going to go to Prague, we'll figure it out, it'll work out. It's like, okay, yeah, it'll work out. I get to my mailbox that day, same day, talking to my best friend on the phone still, and when I'm checking my mail, I find a note and a letter that somebody wrote to me. And in the letter, they were thanking me, and some beautiful words that they sent to me. And I was about to throw it away when I look in, and there was something else. And when I opened it up, it was a check for $500. I was like, oh my God, I was just here like trying to figure out how I was gonna get just the money to solidify my ticket. And here I got a check for $500, and I was on the phone with my best friend. She's like, oh my God, that's your confirmation. And so I like to always look for confirmations in life. So that was my confirmation. I was like, I'm going, I don't care what. That's my confirmation that I need to leave in April. And sure enough, I did. And my ticket to Prague, my one-way ticket, was like $650 something. So it wasn't too off from the check that I received. Crazy, right? And that's just it. And you know what, I'll share a couple of other little synchronicities and examples that have happened throughout my journey here, because I think that this is really what inspires us, when we can really see real life experiences that people go through and not just these lofty quotes. I'm going to give you my experience. So another thing that's happened throughout my trip, let's see, I've had a couple situations. I'll give you something really tiny and small. There was one time I was in Prague and I really wanted coffee. So, you know, obviously I'm backpacking and I didn't really come with that many resources or that much money. So whenever you can save is always a blessing. So I remember I left and I was like, I really, really want coffee. And that was like my mission. My mission was just to go out and buy coffee. And as I'm walking, there's this young guy that stops me and he starts speaking to me in Czech. And I was like, I didn't understand. So I was like, I'm sorry, I don't understand. And I'm like gonna keep walking. And he stops me and then speaks to me in English and was like, no. I'm giving away free coffee. Do you want free coffee? And I was like, oh yes, holy shit. I was like, yeah, of course. And in that moment, I had to just stop and appreciate it, because I was like, man, I really wanted coffee. And here I go, and I just manifested myself a free cup of coffee out of nowhere. That's one small example. Another time in Budapest, I was sitting down and I was in the lounge area. And that day I had told myself that I wasn't going to go out to eat, because I had already gone out the nights before with the girls that I had met, and I had spent more than I wanted to spend, so I really wasn't going to eat that day. I was just going to like maybe get something cheap from the grocery store. And next to me was somebody sitting, was a gentleman sitting, and we started talking, and then he's like, hey, listen, I'm going to go grab lunch in a little bit. Do you want to grab lunch? And I was like, oh, I would love to, but you know, I've already spent my allowance for today, for this week, and I don't really want to spend any more money. And he was like, no, to be honest, he's like, I'm leaving today and I need to spend this money. I have leftover money, so it'll be my treat. And I was like, are you sure? And he's like, no, honestly, I need to spend the money, so it's my pleasure. There, in the moment that I needed it, I wasn't even looking, manifesting myself food and a new person to meet and connect with. So these are the little things, and I've experienced so many of these synchronicities. You know, another time in Budapest, I was supposed to meet a group of friends that were the reason why I ended up in Budapest, and that evening I wasn't able to get a hold of them, and I had been calling them, and then I couldn't get a hold of them, and I was like, what am I going to do, you know? I hadn't met anybody yet in Budapest. I had just arrived. I had been there only one night, and you know, I'm not a huge drinker. I drink socially, so I was like, you know what? Something just said, just get a drink, and wait and see if they call you. If they don't call you, then I'm just gonna go by myself out in the city and walk around. And so I listened to my instinct, and I went and I ordered a drink at the bar. And when I ordered a drink, like 2 minutes after I got the drink in my hand, these two girls coming out of nowhere, very bubbly. Hey, what are you drinking there? That looks kind of fancy. And I was like, oh, it's a mojito, you know. And they're like, oh, is it good? And I gave the girl to try it, and then before you knew it, we just clicked and we started talking. And from that moment on, we all just started hanging out, and they were my girls for the entire time that I was in Budapest, and we all got really close, and it was a blessing, and I had such a great time with them. And the reason that I bring up this scenario is because they appeared to me in a moment when I really wanted somebody to hang out with. I wanted to go out and do something in the city. I'm not really a huge partier, but every now and then I like to go out and have a good time, and it just happened to be one of those nights that I actually wanted to do something, and they were at the right moment, appeared in my existence and manifested what I wanted to experience. And obviously I was manifested in their experience, because there was things that I needed to provide them with, which later on through our interaction I found out what I was meant to give them. So everything happens for a reason, and all the things that you need will be provided for you. And these are just small examples that I'm giving you, but so many things like this have been occurring on my trip, and I've only been doing this for a month and 2 weeks. So you know, I still don't know what the road has ahead of me, but I do know that everything works out. The right person will appear when you need it. The money, the food, everything you need will come to you. But you have to just have enough courage and trust to move into the direction of your desires. And by no means am I saying that because you follow your heart or you move in the direction of your desires, that it's going to be easy and that everything's just always going to work out. It's not always that way. You will have obstacles along the way, because actually the path of following your personal legend, your purpose, is harder because you're going to encounter a lot of things that are going to test you, to test your character, that are going to contribute to your growth. But I will tell you that it may not be the easiest path, but it is the most fulfilling and rewarding path for both yourself internally and externally, because you will get everything that you want on an external point, but internally you will really become the person that you're meant to become. You will really know and find out what you're made of. So I tell you all this, guys, and I'm harping on this, and I know that this video has gone on a little longer, but I just think it's one of these topics that is worth discussing, and it's important for me to just remind you guys. I'm a living example of it, and I'm sharing it with you guys, and this is how my whole life has been, but now I'm actually documenting it, and I want you guys to really pursue your desires. Be true to yourself. Do the things that you want to do and trust that it'll work out. And maybe it won't work out the way you envision it, but there's always a reason behind it, but you will always reach your destination. So I don't want to keep harping on this because I can talk about this forever, but I hope you guys get the point and the message, and I hope that it resonates with you on one level or another. But most of all, I hope that it inspires you to take action in the direction of your desires and dreams. And I will talk to you guys soon. If you like the content here on Creating Within, subscribe. If you already subscribed and you like the content, you find it valuable, please share with your friends, spread the message, and let's keep on creating. Bye, guys.